Yeah. You ready? Yeah, start it off.
Hey guys, I'm Dmitry and
I'm Matt.
And welcome to the second episode of the Canucks, the Canucks name still pending show. As you remember in the first episode, we've asked you guys, we want the community involvement, your engagement in sort of naming the show. So we've gotten a lot of cool and very funny suggestions about the names.
Really funny ones.
Really funny ones. And so the way we're going to run this is because we want the community to decide on the name. And we want the community's involvement with the show moving forward. So what we're going to do is that there's going to be a link in the description directing you to the forum where we'll have a poll of all these different names that we're just going to call out right now. Some funny ones, some serious ones, and some that we also like as well. So
do your top five. Let's hear your top five.
All right, top five for mine is the Canucks Nuts, the Canucks Tech Crunch, or short for CTC.
Yeah, that's good.
The Damn Good Show. And I think a lot of people were fine with that. And you know what? We appreciate that, guys. Thank you for the compliment. Canucks Tech Chat, or HD Tech Chat, or just Tech Chat.
Yeah.
And my last and probably one of the funny ones in this top five list is Beaver Time. Something that we've asked for people not to comment for. But you know what, guys? You are awesome and creative, and I love those. Those are my top five. What are your top five?
All right, my top five. I actually got a couple that are kind of similar or and like the same. So one that I really liked was Hardware Canucks, the Tap Show, or Tech Access Point.
Tap.
Tap.
Yeah.
The Log.
The Log is
I kind of like the
awesome.
Log. Critical Canucks, because that's actually a pretty cool name. Beaver Time. Beaver Time. Yeah.
Thing right
and
now.
The Dam. Just because I think that's a really good tie into the Hardware Canucks brands. Yeah, it works. It just works for me. I like it.
Yeah. So, well, those are the top 10. Again, link in the description. And like always, we will put a time code on this video so you guys can go check out the topics that you are interested in. And also make sure to stick around because we have a very special guest on the show today. It's going to be in the end of the show, so you can go ahead and skip throughout the show. But we do have a really cool topics lined up today. And so, well, you know what? Let's just dive right into it. So the first topic is Google Glass competitor. So Matt, what is it?
Well, Omni Glass is actually coming up with a brand new product that competes directly with the Google Glass. So it's basically going to have a 720p liquid crystal display, a 4 megapixel camera. It's got an imaging chip in it that kind of, I guess, is on par with what the Glass uses and everything. But the tech specs really aren't that important. What's really important right now is the fact that the Google Glass isn't even really out yet, and it's already getting competitors. Now, I know that Omni Glass is in it. Microsoft is apparently developing something that will play in the same realm as what Google wants to do. So it's not even available yet. Some sample kits, guys, are available from Omni Glass, but they're looking at availability to be in like the first quarter of 2014. I don't have any pricing info at all whatsoever. But
yeah, well, all the topics are again with the links and type codes below. So go check out the actual prototype that they display. I think one thing, it's a cool thing because you have Google Glass competition, right? So that's awesome. Always drives prices down and encourages innovation. But another thing is I want to mention is the fact that it's not as simple and elegant looking as Google Glass. It seems like it's just like a plain military glass with this bit of a machine on the side. And I think the Google Glass, the whole, target audience is to have something elegant and despite its functionality, to have something really cool like that on your face. So I think the Omni Glass is reaching towards the functionality aspect more than so to the actual appeal of the glass.
I'm sure that once they have their prototype and everything done and they start making money, they might, make it more refined. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, guys, the prototype is ugly. We're just going to come out and say it. The prototype is really, really ugly. But they have something that they can work with now, so that's really good news.
Yeah.
Do you want to get to the second topic?
Well, second topic is, I guess it dates back to Watson, a computer that was developed by IBM.
Now, if you guys don't remember who Watson is, it's that PC, or not the PC, it's the supercomputer that IBM built that basically just wanted to compete on Jeopardy, and it kicked some serious ass. So basically what they've found is that they've actually found a way to repurpose Watson, and that's basically to watch or to act like the TV Doctor House. So now they put it to work, basically going and finding out all these really obscure sort of out of nowhere type of diagnoses for people that have like some serious illnesses, and they're putting it to really hard work. And it just goes to show that once you actually compete on Jeopardy, you can still go on and compete really good things.
Move on to good things.
Yeah, so it's able to delve deep into like medical records and actually find a way to diagnose things that maybe people might have had a really hard time before, and that actually could be the future of medical diagnoses or the software that goes behind it, because now they're actually finding some tangible reason that hospitals could maybe venture into like getting in something like a Cray, which is still expensive, but it still might help doctors do their job better and deliver better quality of service. So this is just the I guess the tipping point, or just the beginning of what could actually possibly happen.
Yeah, and you won't have to deal with the jerk house himself. I mean, if you...
Okay, I would love to be like working or have a doctor that's like House. My doctor's a jackass.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well.
All right. Well, moving on to the next topic is Intel's Q3 revenue numbers have been released, and they're showing growth.
About this much.
Yeah, just
Someone about okay. This much.
Yeah.
But this much. There we go.
Can we?
That's
Okay. Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. So, but what's surprising? Not surprising. It's I think that's a good thing to hear that Intel's and PC industry is growing despite the slowdown in PCs sales.
In the PC industry in itself isn't necessarily growing at the rate
evolving.
that they want it to. It's evolving and it's changing. I mean, Intel's actual desktop and PC client sales are down. I think it's like 3 to like 9%, I think, like that. But what is up, and a significant amount, I think it's almost like where was it? 12.2% was like their the data center services. So the data center group, so I guess that's like cloud management and stuff, is up 12%. So that's where you're seeing, I think, the biggest change going, and that's actually perfect timing, because I mean Microsoft is trying to do everything in the cloud now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the cloud is becoming huge, and actually Microsoft is launching a lot of stores throughout Canada and the States. I was actually today at the event, and you guys are going to see, most likely probably before this video launches, my trip to this opening event. But basically what they're trying to do is get the hands-on with the Windows tablets and basically push towards the more touch interface ecosystem.
Was
Windows
it like
8.
an actual physical store?
It's not a physical store, and my idea is that it's going to be an actual Windows store, like a Mac store, but it's just an insert, a smaller insert in Best Buy, so like in its own corner where it's just Windows.
Okay, so it's not like a kiosk, like guys. I don't know if
it's bigger than a kiosk.
Okay.
So it's the one over today is 1,100 feet, 1,100 square feet, and I think they're going to go to about 2,000 something feet squared in terms of size. So it's not a kiosk in terms of like this table and look at these phones and look at these cards, but it is an actual, basically, a showcase,
it's like a physical space.
Yeah, it's physical
instead
space.
of like being in the middle of a mall like they have in the Eaton Center.
No, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, you can see that they're trying to make some serious changes, I guess. Windows, good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job,
Keep on
Windows.
competing. Keep on competing. We need more competition.
Yeah.
Guys, speaking about competition, the new next-gen games are about to be released and everything. I mean, with the Xbox One and the PS4 launching really soon, I think we're talking like just a matter of a couple weeks now. Some bad news for Ubisoft.
Yes. So Ubisoft is the developer for Watchdogs. Watchdogs, it's gotten a crazy amount of hype because of what you can do. I want to play too, because you have this GTA environment where you can actually interact. You can turn off that light bulb, turn off this camera, and start the camera, and you can hack into things. And while I was in Montreal covering the NVIDIA event, they did a live demo playing Watchdogs, which were unfortunately not allowed to film. But what I got out of it is the fact that it's been delayed on October 16th, and that plummeted Ubisoft stock by 26%. So that's, I mean,
that's the equivalent to this.
Yep.
To their stock.
Yeah.
Ow.
Don't hurt yourself, man. But not only the delay is just super bad for the company itself. I mean, 26% of stock loss, it's an insane amount of money. but that was also angry gamers who
Yeah.
have wanted to play this hacking game and all that because of the trailers and the hype that's been building up. So, but going back to the demo that they played at in Montreal, it just seems so unpolished in terms of optimization of your hardware.
Did it seem like they were using like just like an alpha build, or was it? Do you even think it was like pre-alpha? That it was just like a tech demo that they threw together?
It seemed like open world environment where
Okay.
people, I mean, where you're able to go into places and they showcased what you can do in terms of getting away from cops, so
Yeah.
blowing up a pipe steam or closing down a bridge or changing the traffic lights. But the problem was that it was very choppy performance wise. I believe it was running on Titan SLI,
Oh.
and it was just poop, 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 at intersections where there was a lot of things happening. But
Okay.
it shouldn't be that way, especially if you're running a SLI Titan, right? So no wonder this game is delayed. While I'm excited for it, based on what I've seen, I think this game is going to be a disappointment.
It kind of sucks. Now to something that's not a disappointment: 4K porn.
This is
Why?
That's,
yeah, guys. You knew it was coming. I don't know why I gave the thumbs up. This is inappropriate, but you knew it was coming. So if you want to find it, you can find it somewhere.
we won't even have any links for that, by the way.
No.
This is just
Don't ask how I know this.
This is just an announcement of that.
For all of you that have large hard drives specifically for that purpose, now you know a way that you can use them. That's not where I was going with this. Get your mind out of the gutter, people.
So moving on from 4K porn, we have more exciting
As
news.
much as I don't want to move on from 4K porn, exciting news: DirectX 11.2.
Yes. So DirectX 11.2 is set to announce, is set to work in conjunction with Windows 8.1 in order to offload textures in a game that usually are usually loaded into VRAM, so dedicated RAM on your graphics card, and DirectX 11.2 with conjunction with Windows 8.1 will be able to offload these textures from VRAM onto system memory.
Okay.
And this is huge. That means that if you have a 1 gigabyte graphics card and you have 16 gigabytes of system memory, your system memory is now going to be, I'm not sure exactly how much of it, but it will be able to be utilized for game textures. And this means that you have an insane amount of more detail and higher resolution textures that will be able to be included in the game. And that's just exciting. The fact that you can, the PC industry is moving forward in terms of incorporating different performance, just using resources in a way that we weren't able to do before. So what do you think?
That's big news, because the way that I think about it is that you're going to have graphics card companies that are still going to end up throwing out like 4 and 3 gig cards like they usually do. But what we're going to see is that we're going to start seeing, I think, the cores are going to be much better utilized with 11.2, specifically because they're not going to be pulling directly from the RAM that's on the card, and basically the card's not really going to be controlling that memory bandwidth. So the only one thing I'm concerned about, though, is that this might not necessarily be as big of a thing for discrete GPUs. I think that the biggest thing that we're going to see right now is that when you have, let's say, an APU like AMD, you might actually have the textures coming off of the RAM that way. So it might allow you to game at a higher quality level with just an APU than you would, let's say, with the discrete GPU. But I can see where if it's coded properly, and guys, I have no idea how it is coded, but if it's coded properly, this could actually kind of remove like GDDR whatever from cards for the next little while if you're pulling it right from system memory.
Exactly, and it could make the graphics cards that much cheaper.
Yeah.
If they include just enough memory on the card to run all the processing tasks that are required to run by the GPU, then the rest of the memory can be utilized on the system memory, and that way your GPU can only maybe have a gig or maybe 2 gigs of RAM, and
just as needed to like run basic 2D tasks, I guess. I mean, if they're able to offload everything onto system memory, that would be huge. Imagine playing a game with like, I don't know, it's 32 gigs is probably some of the higher end systems that you can get right now. So imagine running a game with 16 gigs worth of actual memory, running it like
texture
24.
memory.
Yeah,
so
texture
like high
memory.
detailed insane resolution textures.
That'd be great for 4K gaming.
That, you know what? That's the perfect segment that we should have done for 4K porn.
Oh. Okay, so with moving from DirectX 11.2, we're gonna.
But before we move on to another topic, is that well, given now that DirectX 11.2 and we'll be working with in conjunction with 8.1 Windows, would you guys be willing to switch to Windows 8.1 because of that?
Oh, good point.
A lot of people are still very unfamiliar with the Windows 8 ecosystem. I myself has just upgraded to Windows 8.1, which I prefer just because it's the start button, and actually find ridiculous that it was not included on 8. And I find ridiculous that all the advertisements for Windows 8.1 were, now we've added the start button, and you know, it just,
you put back something you took away,
yes.
people.
So, I mean, that is a whole story in its own. But the fact that now this is going to be, I think, exclusive for 8.1 Windows. So, would you guys be willing to switch to Windows 8.1 because of that?
I'm a Windows 7 user, so I think that this might actually
what about
get
you?
me. I might do it now. I might get a copy and move to 8.1. I might join the new world. So yeah,
Join the touch world.
I like it. Well, not the touch world. I don't have a touch monitor.
Yeah.
I need one for 4K porn. Okay, so another thing that's in the news, guys, is something that's actually a little bit disturbing if you live in Canada and are a Bell subscriber. Bell has basically gone and announced that if you do the following things, if you have Bell Internet, if you have a phone with Bell, so a cell phone, if you have a TV with Bell, so either Bell Fibe or satellite, they are going to track every single thing that you do in order to enhance customer satisfaction. So,
in other words, let us monitor what you do so that we can collect this information. I don't know what they do with it.
And pass it on to the NSA. Okay, no.
I think we did the I think simultaneously. I was awesome.
So basically, this is really bad news for the consumer. I don't understand how companies think that they can do this type of thing and strip away just basic privacy rights and basically get away with it. But at the exact same time, guys, stand up for your rights. I mean, Canada's Privacy Commission has promised that they're going to actually look into it, which is huge news. So if you want, talk to your MPs, talk to people that will care, go to a Bell store and yell at people, just random people.
Don't yell at random people.
Okay, maybe not random people. Don't go to a Bell store and yell at anybody. I'm not advocating that. But what I am saying is that, if you're as outraged as I am that, well, I don't use Bell products, but if I did use Bell products, I would be incredibly outraged. I would be writing letters of concern and basically just stating that, listen, this has to change. It's not right. It has to change.
It's not right. And what's good from this story, and I think this sort of relates back to our Foxconn story that we did in episode 1, is the fact that international community, well, I guess in Canada, people are responding and people are saying this is not okay. So now the Privacy Commission in Canada have started the investigation to find out
what's that hacking group.
Anonymous?
Yeah, Anonymous actually sent out a couple tweets talking about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So Bell,
thank you, Anonymous.
You need to do something quickly before they get you.
Yeah, I think it's a good way for the community to respond. I'm a Bell customer, so it affects me. I guess gives me another reason to stick to a VPN.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So another thing in the news, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Apple had a pretty big conference a couple days ago. The biggest thing is surprise, surprise, it's a new iPad.
Oh my God!
So I mean, it's thinner. It's got a bigger screen, kind of. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's what was it? 20% thinner, so that is pretty cool. It's groundbreaking. Yeah. It's got a thinner bezel. It's got the A7 processor.
It's very fast.
Yeah. Let's put it this way.
It's got the Retina display.
They're saying that it's 8 times faster than the original iPad.
Yeah.
That's 3 years old. I'd certainly hope it's at least 8 times faster.
Yeah.
But the big thing about this is that they're selling it on an MSRP of $499, which is impressive considering the fact that their past iPads have sold for considerably more. But in my eyes, it's like they're competing with a $500 product against stuff that you can still purchase for $200, $300. I mean, you've reviewed tablets that are roughly around the exact same size.
Yeah.
That might not have the same feature quality, so it might not have the same pixel density and everything on the screen, but
it really comes down to, I guess, user experience and user behavior. And for example, I would rather go with the latest Nexus 7 than an iPad, just because I like the Android ecosystem better. But there's gonna be a lot of people who are, you know, Apple, and they have been all following the iOS ecosystem for a while, and they just don't feel comfortable expanding into Android.
Yes, you see them outside of the Apple store every time that there's any type of a launch. If they have new headphones, there's people lining up outside the door.
So
I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying.
It's a fact.
Yeah, there's a lot of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of they're announcing, I mean, it's not. We're gonna see a new iPad every year anyway. Yeah. Or
same thing with like, well, at least
there's gonna be a cycle, and so
I think their cycle is every 6 months.
Yeah.
Every 6 months to like 8 months, they release a new iPad product. The same thing with like the iPhone.
Yeah.
They're coming up with one like almost every year to 8 months to a year. So yeah, I guess that's what their product cycle is like. But the only one thing that I wish that they would have done is been a little more competitive in price. I might have actually picked one up. I have an 8-inch Samsung Galaxy Tab that I find is pretty cool. I didn't pay for it. I got it from my bank. But it works for me. So my value proposition is like I would like something cheap. But then again, you're going to have people that are willing to pay that price for it. So yeah.
Well, just on the topic of, we have some stats for you guys. So in 2012, Apple basically held 54% of iOS, in iOS in general, iOS ecosystem, 54% worldwide. This is a year ago. Today, in 2013, they hold less of a share than Android. So Android is really up and coming.
That's huge.
So, like you said, it's all about competition, right? So this new iPad, while it is still competing with, you know, I guess $499 8-inch tablets and 10-inch tablets that are Windows that, you know, have a lot more functionality built into them because it's an actual Windows PC. You can do a lot more things with it than just an iOS tablet. It's also showing that this gap between Android and iOS is widening. So potentially in 2014, we're going to see that Apple is going to start thinking that, you know, maybe we should be competing more and become more competitive by offering better pricing, because
I think they tipped their hat a little bit with that, with the iPhone launch.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the 5S and then the 5C. I mean, they're saying that the 5C was for 5 color. No, it's for 5 cheap. They basically built the thing. It's the first iPhone to have like a plastic back cover, or I believe it's the first iPhone to have a polycarbonate back cover. So I mean, they're kind of going in that way, realizing that, hey, we've had a corner of the premium market for the longest time. Now maybe it's time that we do something that gets to more of a broad appeal, so they can reach more people and emerging markets. They don't have the same type of money that we do here in North America, so that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys. So the next topic that we have on our docket on the list of everything that we want to discuss is something that actually we're filming this on a Thursday. The product that we were talking about, the NDA, expired as of midnight this morning.
So the reviews are posted.
Yeah, it's out. You can buy one. It's really hyped up. It's an AMD card.
What is it?
It has Mantle.
True audio too.
And True Audio. A really cool cooler. It's a 290X, the R9 290X. So finally it's out.
You were able to squeeze it out. Finally, people were like, what?
Finally, it's out. Okay, guys, this is one of the bigger things to hit the market the past little while. The rumors of it being a game changer are kind of true if you want to look at it on a value proposition type of thing. So, you saw it firsthand. What did you think?
So 290X is based on the benchmarking. Like you say, I think it's a game changer because it delivers to that price to performance ratio that we've never seen before. And a lot of people were initially thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a Titan killer, and they've hyped up this card. And you know what? When I first saw the results, I was surprised because the hyped up rumors were true. Yeah. And that usually never happens.
It beat it.
It beat Titan.
Okay, we're not just talking about like marginally. I mean, the majority of the tests over, if you go to hardwarecanucks.com and you take a look at the review section, and then you take a look at the 290X, I believe it beats the Titan by at least 3% overall.
Yeah.
And this is without an overclock. And I'm going to be jumping into that a little bit later on.
This is in the Uber mode, which is increased fan speed,
Yeah.
but yeah, so fan speed increased so that better cooling and allows the card to have a little bit higher clocks, but this is not overclocking. This is allowing the card to run at the best possible clocks with utilization of the core at 100%.
So basically what we're talking about is that the clock structure is dynamic.
Yeah.
So depending on basically how cool you can keep your card,
Yeah.
that clock will change. Now there is still overclocking features that you can get in this card, but it's basically just adjusting for your temperature variance, I guess, or the temperature threshold.
Which is 95 degrees.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of concerns with the card. So the concerns is the first is temperature. 94 degrees at 100%, or 94 degrees as soon as you do any benchmarking or gaming with it, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a concern for me. Like, how hot will your case become because of that?
I guess this is a perfect time to introduce somebody to water cooling if they want to spend. I mean, guys, the cost of the card is like what, $550,
Yeah.
$549 MSRP. This is just the suggested retail price. If you go to your outlets, you might see some sort of a variance. You might see some board partners that come in less. They might come in more. They might add more value to it. But I mean, you could do water cooling, custom cooling solutions. I know that Asus has like some pretty decent ones, I guess, in the pipeline, like their DC2 and whatever, their direct copper and everything.
Yeah.
That's a great cooler. Who knows where you could push a card with a really good cooler on
Exactly. So that leaves up the potential for even better performance. So even potentially to see higher 3% plus better performance than the Titan with the water block, with aftermarket coolers, and just the board partners that they're gonna come up with. Because this cooler is not it's not designed well, because even in the back you have just a tiny bit cutouts opening for the GPU to suck in air. It has advantages of it if you have two cards in crossfire, that it will allow to still intake air even if they're really close together. But it's just the fan itself, and I mean the heatsink is very large, but it's just not the best cooler for the card, and that's something a little bit disappointing in terms of a reference design.
Yeah.
But it's just a reference design,
in all fairness, I don't remember. Okay, AMD, I'm sorry. I don't remember the last time you came up with a reference design cooler that was really super efficient. The most efficient air coolers right now are unfortunately the ones that pour hot air back into the case. Yeah. You're not going to get a blower cooler, a blower fan that's really going to perform really all that well while maintaining low noise.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going to get something that's lightning fast, that'll keep the card really cool, and it'll sound like a jet engine is taking off right next to your head. Or you're going to get something that basically fills your case up and you need really good positive pressure to remove all that hot air out of your case. But it'll be silent. Or not silent, at least it'll be a little bit quieter. So I guess that's kind of like the trade-off.
Yeah.
Water cool. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to get great clocks if you're water cool and everything.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, at least.
And this leaves a good sort of a hopefully positive response from NVIDIA with their 780 Ti release. So 780 Ti is supposed to be the fastest card NVIDIA has ever built, and they said that in their Montreal conference. So I would say this would be a nice response to the 290X, but I guess it will come down to price, to the pricing structure of NVIDIA's latest and the greatest cards, I guess, because AMD's got amazing pricing structure at the moment with their 280X at $299. So I would say $299 is a sweet spot for such a low end, and $550 for the highest end graphics card would be like a really awesome plateau where hopefully we're gonna see this type of pricing to sort of level out and benefit the consumers.
Well, we've seen. I don't think that NVIDIA is going to come back and sort of like scale back their pricing in a way that it'll be a huge difference. Like, we're not going to see $600 Titans. We might see them be a little more aggressive in
bundles,
added value propositions, like bundles. We're going to go into that a little bit with Linus a little bit later. He'll outline exactly what's going to be included in the new NVIDIA cards. I don't really see them trying to respond directly to it. I think that they're going to try to basically say, here's where you're going to get value.
Yeah.
And you can choose between this product and this product based on what you have perceived value for the two of them.
I would say it's a strategy that would work, because if you need NVIDIA cards for doing your After Effects stuff, utilizing CUDA. I utilize CUDA every day making exactly. So, I mean, if I wanted to get a 780 Ti simply for that purposes, I would have liked the option to have the value included of maybe perhaps a few games, a few dollars off the Shield. So it's I would say it would be a good comeback in terms of still giving the consumer a little bit of value for their money.
What AMD has done is, with this life cycle, this current life cycle that we're in for GPUs, they've been competitive, but the second the Titan basically came into fruition, NVIDIA kind of just stole the show. They haven't really been competitive with them afterwards. I mean, yes, you can really say dual GPU, the 7990, and that's fantastic. It's a great card. It's got a great value proposition. I think it's actually, for the performance, it might be close to a value per dollar liter, or performance per dollar liter is what I meant to say. But what this has done is that AMD is now kind of like throwing the gauntlet back at NVIDIA, basically just saying, hey, we're going to price our cards aggressively so that we can jump back in. And now this creates competition, and guys, that's never a bad thing. I'm actually excited for the first time in a little while about the whole GPU market because of how things have dynamically changed in the past couple of weeks. Like Montreal was fun. I was covering it with you, but I was in Toronto watching a live stream, and it sounded like you guys all were having like an amazing time seeing all the demos and stuff they were doing.
So
with AMD right across the street, they're going to war, guys, and it's more evident now than I think at any other time that I've seen in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I'm not sure about AMD's history in terms of crashing NVIDIA's events, but they were across the street from NVIDIA's conference, and so. It's a little funny trying to kind of lure media into their direction, but it is a little unpolite and kind of leaves bad taste in the mouth when a company tries to do something like that when you are there for an NVIDIA event.
I like it. I think it's competitive. I personally, I mean, with NVIDIA,
it is competitive, but the thing is, they're not stabbing NVIDIA in the back. They're stabbing the press. So if you're there on NVIDIA's dime, you're not gonna go to an AMD secret hideout place to like talk to them.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true.
Because then the press is negatively affected.
Yeah. I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, it's one thing if, let's say, they're throwing an event simultaneously, let's say like CES or something, and trying to pull them away. But I hear what you're saying. No, I agree. I kind of misunderstood as to what was going on. Right.
Well, that would be our topics for today.
Yep.
And so now we have Linus on the line. We have some great questions for him. So stick around, and this is the interview. Matt, why don't we go ahead? First question for you, Linus.
I know a little while ago on your forum you had a post that basically educated people on exactly how you got started in the business. But one thing that I really am interested in finding out is what exactly inspired you or motivated you into jumping into this field?
My boss. So he basically pulled me into his office and yelled at me one day because Tiger Direct had product videos and we didn't. So we needed to get in gear.
Yeah.
And he figured I would be the one to do it because he was like, yeah, you're reasonably techie and you're not horrifically ugly, so get on that. And I was like, okay. To be clear, this was my direct boss. This wasn't like the president of NCIX or anything. He had a bit of he had an approach for management. He's no longer there, unfortunately. I respect him a lot, and I really liked working for him in spite of the way that story might sound. But that was actually how it got started.
Cool. So you know what? That kind of answered my second question. Was like, who actually inspired you or motivated you to kind of reach for more? But what was the biggest motivating factor or opportunity that you saw when it came to starting your media group?
Well, the biggest opportunity for me was, I've been looking very closely at the way that revenues have trended over the last 5 years since I started doing this YouTube thing. And you go back and look at it, and it is a very exponential growth curve, even for a relatively small channel like NCIX Tech Tips or Linus Tech Tips. And They each have over, you know, 250,000 and over 500,000 subscribers at this point, but that's still relatively small in the grand scheme of things. And I looked at it and I went, well, there's a revenue opportunity here, and there's an opportunity for me to be self-employed, which is something that, you know, since I grew up watching my dad run his own jam company, I had been interested in. So I kind of went, okay, well, if I can make enough money to survive, and I can do this full-time, and I'm already doing this well at it, and I only have a little bit of time to spend on it, and I have a full-time job otherwise, then who knows what I can do if I actually do this full-time. So that was, that's where that idea came from.
Cool. Now, I know that your persona that, well, here's the one thing that I want to know about. Give us a little bit of background as to exactly who you are, and first and foremost, do you actually play a character when you do your videos? Now, if you don't want to tell me, that's cool, but yeah, give us a little insight as to who you are.
I mean, the simple answer is I really wasn't smart enough to come up with a pseudonym or a persona or anything like that. When we originally started this, like I said, it was my boss yelling at me and telling me we had to do videos. I was like, okay, we'll do videos then.
I actually remember watching you do one of the first NCX videos, and it was kind of like something that I was also looking forward to when I was starting my own channel, eventually moving on to Hardware Canucks. So, like, you know, you, I think, are sort of the, I would say, inspiration for a lot of the people who are...
You're a pioneer, sir.
The pioneer, yeah, because still, even building my own first computer, it was like referring back to Linus. It's kind of like that type of history. It's cool that you've come so far with it.
So that was exactly the intention. I mean, back then, you know, I didn't, you know, I wasn't like Logan, where I knew that I was, you know, needed a stage name or anything like that. It was just me making videos, and the reason I was chosen for the project was just because I was, again, techie and not horribly ugly. So that was the entire rationale. So it was just me in front of the camera, and I don't think it's really changed much since that time. So,
all right. So I guess can you describe your fan base for us? Because you have probably one of the most rabid fan bases that I've probably ever encountered ever. And I don't mean rabid in a bad way. Like, they are very passionate. They are a very passionate fan base. So how would you describe the people that follow you and that, yeah, watch your videos and stuff?
You know, the way that I look at it is I actually don't refer to the people who watch LinusTech Tips as fans. If you've ever heard me talk, I'll refer to them as viewers. Okay. Because the way that I see it, the show is about more than me. It's not, you're not a fan of Linus and you're not a fan of LinusTech Tips so much. You may really like LinusTech Tips and you may really like my approach to technology, but the way that I see it is my viewers are fans of technology. They're fans of computers. They're fans of the companies that make this technology, that makes our lives better and more enriching, and that's really the way that I see it. And whenever you take computer fans and computer hardware enthusiasts and put them all in one place, you're going to end up with what looks like a pretty rabid fan base. Yeah. But I just see it a little bit differently than the way that I'd look at someone like a fan of Jenna Marbles, where the entire show is her personality. Tech Tips was never intended to be about me. It was intended to be about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, the 290.
Speaking of which, the 290X in one word. Go.
Competitive.
Okay.
Good word. Yep,
good word.
Absolutely.
If you gave me more words, I could come up with something a lot better than that.
All right. So then, what do you think of the newest release? What do you think of the 290X?
I think that it is a potential game changer with respect to price to performance. You look at the way that AMD has priced it. I mean, we haven't seen how NVIDIA has reacted with something like 780 Ti. They've given us almost no details about that card. But right now, if I'm a Battlefield gamer and I want a card for playing Battlefield as soon as possible, I'm looking very closely at the R9 290X for a couple of reasons. Number one is that even though we got a bunko blocker, so we're one of the only sites reporting 290X not beating the GTX 780, because we have a decent 780 overclocker and our 290X is a complete dud in that respect. Okay. So even though we got one of those, you look at how competitive it is now, and then you look at how much more competitive it could potentially be based on some of the rumors I've heard about how Project Mantle is going to affect performance, and we could be looking at a completely different landscape come December when Battlefield 4 releases their Mantle support. So,
yeah. Right. Do you actually think that NVIDIA is going to have any type of response to it? I mean,
with their most likely with price drops. Oh, mantle.
Well,
okay.
I mean,
Oh,
to
price
mantle,
drop?
yeah. Or to
I
price
kind
drop.
of doubt it. I mean, NVIDIA has shown at times in the past that they're very comfortable being priced $100 higher than AMD. I think their reaction may already be done with their holiday bundle, which is
the 3 games.
I can't remember.
That's
So
it.
Black Flag's in there. They've also got yeah.
That's the only one that comes to mind because I think it's the only one that
What
I would
else?
personally end up buying anyways.
Yeah, so they have they have a 3-game holiday bundle, and then they've got the deal
Batman.
with $100 off Shield with 770 and up. Which I mean, maybe I'm the only person. I don't think I'm the only person left. There's some exciting stuff coming up about Shield with respect to the functionality that they announced at the last conference. So the console mode.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be
Shield
sick.
is starting to look like a very compelling little piece of hardware and a great companion for your graphics cards. So they not like they're not competitive.
Okay. Do you think that they kind of jumped the gun, or not jumped the gun, but kind of like found a way to work around the fact that AMD ended up picking up all the consoles and kind of winning that console war? Do you think they're trying to compete kind of with consoles by kind of developing their own version of one?
You know, the rumors are all over the place on this. One of the rumors I heard is that NVIDIA was approached about being the hardware in the upcoming consoles and basically said, no, not lucrative enough, doesn't make sense for us. And, you know, you look at the way they're approaching this new gen with Shield being positioned as a replacement for a next-gen console already. The way that I look at it is maybe NVIDIA's right. Maybe this generation of consoles is the last generation that is relevant, and maybe even it doesn't last for an entire console lifetime of relevance, because the way that I see it, we could be looking at Steam Machine versus Android rather than Sony versus Microsoft in the console space within the next 5 or 6 years.
You mentioned that next-gen consoles are obsolete even before launch. I would agree with you on that point in terms of sort of where the graphics industry is moving towards, you know, insane performance like we saw with the 290X, for example. One thing I want to find out about you and pick your brain about is DirectX 11.2 and Windows 8.1 and the feature of offloading sort of VRAM memory onto just regular system memory. So what do you think about that in terms of moving into that direction for gaming and loading much higher textures for games, for example? What do you think of that?
On the PC, I mean, it's no secret. You ask anyone, whether it's Intel or AMD, who makes CPUs, and they're going to tell you we are moving towards a complete change in the way that PCs operate, and we want the CPU and the GPU to both be responsible for general computing. We want them to both be responsible for graphics computing. We want them to share more resources. That is an extremely exciting future. I just don't know that Microsoft will necessarily be a part of it, because Windows 8.1 has been described as, I guess, less terrible. But the reality of it is Windows 8 already performed better than Windows 7 for gamers.
Yeah.
And not many people seem to be willing to sacrifice the general usability of their machine for something that's a little bit more optimal for gaming.
Right.
So I'm taking a very wait-and-see approach to that. I don't want what I just said to sound like, you know, a prediction of doom for Windows or Microsoft, because they've got a lot of time still to pull this together and deliver something that appeals to enthusiasts. Lots of time. I mean, it's not like they've never released an OS that nobody liked before, and they've turned it around, and they've released something better to follow it up. So if I had to say anything about it, I'd say I'm really excited to see more shared resources between different parts of your computer.
Excellent. Cool. Well, that would conclude our interview session with Linus. Thank you so much, man, for joining on the episode 2. We do appreciate it, man.
Yeah. And
you guys got a name for this show yet?
You know, it's Canucks name still pending show at the moment.
We're thinking of like there's one about, I don't know, a log. I just hope that there's no dropping of log jokes. So there's a couple.
What do you think of Beaver Time?
Beaver Time? I think that probably opens itself up to jokes a little bit better than log dropping.
What about the tap show?
Tap show? Can you guys get away from like the potty words at all?
Well, we asked for suggestions, so we're gonna wait and see what the feedback is. But we're gonna be doing a vote, and if you want, jump in and see what you'd like to have it called. Thanks a lot, man. We really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing I don't know, some sort of like a press release that you actually did invent that USB butt plug.
All right, thank you. I look forward to inventing it as well.
All right, buddy, take care.
Thanks, Linus.
Take care, guys.
Take
Bye.
care. All right, well, guys, this concludes episode number 2. We've had a great show, excellent guest host, excellent first guest host.
First great guest.
Thank you, Linus, so much for tuning in and answering some of the questions. Great insight, and something that I believe a lot of people might have gotten some useful information out of it, and just great tech talk, man.
Yeah, I guess the next thing I want to tell you guys is go to the forums. Main reason why we love your feedback. I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm not wearing a grandpa sweater.
No grandpa sweater and no gum this time.
Yes, I'm not chewing gum at all. You didn't see any chewing motions this time. But we do love your feedback. We listen to it. We take it into consideration. We're in a new set, and we're in my apartment because our studio was kind of taken from us.
People said to stay in the couches, so we were just
a little more cozy. So basically, guys, what you can do is go onto the what the hell? I'll finish it like this. Okay, so guys, go onto the forums.
I think we're out of focus.
We might be out of focus. Go back forward. Yeah. Okay. So
go back.
So guys, we love your feedback, obviously, and what we want to do is we want your help naming the show. Some of you guys have already given some incredible names so far.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do, keep on coming up with names and giving them to us either on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or on the forum itself. We're going to create a thread so you can vote on what we think are the top 5 for each of us.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a little bit of overlap, so it might be 7 or 8 options there. And you're going to have a say in basically what we call this going forward.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be continuing on with this weekly content of delivering news, tech stuff, some things on ethics, and more news in the technology industry in general. And we are planning on having weekly guests as well, bringing in insightful information for yourself, and also
we don't know who yet.
We don't know who yet next week, but we are working on it, and it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and I look forward to filming the show every week. So, partially because of really interested to see what type of engagement we would like to get from you guys, because some really awesome comments on the first episode and really good feedback from you guys as well. And also just learning about what's happening in the industry and chilling with this guy. So yeah, let's wrap this up, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you guys.
See ya.
There. All right.
Nice.
All right.
Okay, so
that's a wrap.
That's gonna.